So let me introduce you to Lawrence McGlown. He's the CEO of getSayDo. Lawrence has built strong brands across a range of industries, including consumer packaged goods at Kraft, healthcare at Humana, logistics and distribution at Brightpoint, which is now Ingram Micro, oil and gas at British Petroleum. He is sought by business executives for his ability to strengthen alignment between employees and their customers. As managing director of the McGlown Group, his team helps companies communicate and deliver their customer promises in unison. Most recently, his experience has led him to found getSayDo, a real-time customer feedback hub for the business world. Fascinated by the open nature of the internet, Lawrence is committed to creating innovations that make work life more enjoyable. We're excited to have Lawrence here to share his insights on the keys to executing as promised and answer your questions on how to apply it at your organization. So get your questions ready, and with that, take it away, Lawrence.
Thanks a lot, Michael. Appreciate the warm introduction. Hello to everyone. This is a fun topic to discuss because we've worked on it for so long, and anytime you apply something, you get more familiar and more passionate about it. So I hope that you all get value. I started tinkering around with this idea during my time as a brand manager, and what I found was the more time I spent marketing to my employees that I counted on to make the business, run effectively, the more effective we are. And specifically, I could see it in the feedback that our customers talked about a more consistent experience that aligned with what they expected from our business. So when we talk about execute as promised, it's about that very thing. Understanding the degree to which your business meets customer expectations at every interaction. I always like to think about it and put myself in the shoes of being a prospect. So I ask that you imagine if I'm a potential customer for your business and I visit your website. Do I understand from that visit what your business can do for me, or am I confused? Say I understand it and I decide I want to buy from your company. Do your employees get things up and running to my satisfaction, or do things kind of labor before we get to really actually producing the work that I purchased from your business? We're midway through the engagement and we hit a roadblock, and the team needs support from your team. Are your employees responsive? Take it even further. An invoice shows up on my desk from your business, and I have to sign off on that invoice. Do I feel like your business is worth the money charged? Do my colleagues feel that way? To the point around colleagues, say someone calls me from another company and they're asking me for a recommendation on a challenge that your business can solve. Do I tee you up? And if I tee your business up, do I use the words that you would like me to use to position you in the right way with that potential customer? So I could go on and on, but the point is that there are a lot of interactions where things can go wrong based on how individual employees perform. So executing as promised is a way to make sure that as many employees that touch the customer actually perform the way you intend. And in order to get to that point, we have to be able to understand how customers are interacting with our businesses, because those interactions affect our reputations, and reputations are what drive business, they drive word of mouth, and they drive new business to come into the business. So what we have in front of you is a visual example that shows the average split of engaged versus disengaged employees. And this is for organizations of all sizes. And we're making a point on employees because for whatever it is, whether it's a product or a service, there's an employee that's making that value real. And if they execute in the right way, then the customer is going to have the experience that was promised to them. And if the employee doesn't execute, then things aren't going to go as expected. And so what you have here are green, orange, and red faces. The green faces are your engaged employees. They get it. They understand the business. They know the purpose of the work that you're doing, and they take the time to understand your customers and how best to serve them. Whereas the orange and red faces, they're disengaged, and for a variety of reasons lack any type of special connection to the business. So depending on when during the customer experience that customer is touched by an orange or a red face is going to determine how often your business is falling short of the expectations that you're creating out there in the marketplace. Okay? So a little bit of context of why the orange and red faces exist. And Gallup does a study. They do it on an annual basis. I can tell you over the 10 plus years that I've tracked and monitored this number, it hasn't changed much. And they're looking across industries and across sizes and finding that on average, 70% of employees lack that connection to their business. And this is a real challenge because what you have is that, you know, the orange faces, they're people who are, they're just indifferent about the business. So they're showing up and they're doing work, but they're not really putting the time into thinking about what's the impact and the effect that my work has on our customers. They just lack that personal connection. Whereas the people who are, you know, represent the red faces, they're actually disengaged. So much so that they're angry about their lack of a connection and looking for every opportunity they can find to actually undermine the business. And you kind of know who those people are because they're just difficult to work with and they seem like they're doing more harm than good when you're trying to get things done for the customer. So the opportunity is that I always say is there's good news in that you can actually lower this percentage simply by helping disengaged employees understand what success looks like for your business. That's it. Just help them understand what success looks like for your business. And it may sound simple, but it takes a little bit of work of investment to make it happen because there are some specific topics that you want to focus on that in many cases your employees actually are gapped on. And here's what I mean. Half the time, a lot of the employees that we work with and count on to get it done for our customers have no understanding of the end goal for your business. So we have to ask ourselves, how can these employees serve customers effectively and consistently without knowing what our company stands for? Or taking it a step further, you know, what it is that makes us different from the other available options that can do exactly the same things that our business does. Every business has its own unique way of doing things because no two businesses employ the same people. And so it's up to the business and the business owners to make sure that every employee understands and is willing to execute the way we intend, right? So it requires a little bit of investment on our part that's intentional. If we don't make that investment, then we fall into this trap that a lot of businesses fall into. And that is the people we work with and we do business on behalf of don't trust us. They don't view businesses as reliable. And they don't review them because most of the time, if you ask people, do most of the businesses you work with consistently meet your expectations? They will tell you no. That's a big problem. It's a real challenge. So if most businesses fall within this category, then the opportunity exists by simple investment in your employees to stand out as a reliable business. So that's the case for why it's important to execute as promised. Hopefully it's clear that it's an ongoing journey. You're constantly calibrating, but let's focus the remainder of this discussion on how you actually go about executing as promised. The first thing I want to talk about is establishing clear expectations. And I want to touch on the internal aspect of establishing clear expectations and then externally. Okay? So internally, you want to start by evaluating the clarity of your business goal. What are we trying to achieve? That should be crystal clear. In the case of Microsoft, the example that's put in front of you, I would offer that it's not very clear, net of this business decision, business definition, what it is I'm supposed to go do as an employee. There are no guardrails offered, so it's not crystal clear as to what we are and are not doing for our customers. And that's the thing, that's the goal when you're marketing yourself internally. You want to help employees focus and not waste time debating with each other of whether or not specific work streams are going to be relevant to customers. That should be easy to do, so long as the business has planted a flag with confidence that defines what it is we're enabling our customers to do. Okay? So let's look at what would be a clear example. I'm going to use Google, right? They make it crystal clear, organize the world's information, make it accessible, everywhere. It's simple, plain English put together in a way that says, okay, I understand what we're trying to do, what success looks like. So, a few things that you can do at your business to make sure that you're providing a clear goal that all employees, even the most novice, even say an intern, is clear on the team that they're a part of. Have a discussion as a group, and maybe sometimes as individuals, and ask, what is it that we do really well? Like eyes closed, one hand behind our back. And then follow that question up with, how do we make customers' lives more enjoyable as a result of that which we do really well? How do we make their lives enjoyable? If it's a B2B offering, then think about it in terms of work life. How do we make our customers' work life more enjoyable? And then lastly, ask the question of, well, what happens to the customer if we pull all that away? We take all of our special value away, our expertise away. Now, what does work life look like? How do they get it done? Those answers are going to reveal the core of your business. You know, people talk about the essence of your business. That's what you're trying to get to, is what is it that really makes us special? It makes customers call us again and again. And when you figure out that story in simple form, market it with aggression internally. Your employees have just as many things going through their minds as your customers. So we have to keep the end goal top of mind by marketing it and making sure that as many of those quote unquote disengaged employees can't say, well, no one told me what it is we were supposed to be doing, so that's why I didn't really have this strong connection to the business. Eliminate that by giving people a crystal clear image and a picture of what success looks like, and it'll do wonders for your ability to execute as promised. Now, once you've clarified expectations internally, you want to do the same thing externally. And you want to use simple English. You want to communicate your value in simple terms. Now, what businesses often do is they overwhelm their customers and their prospects and any other key stakeholders with corporate speak and way too many details. And I understand. In our work as consulting advisors, we talk to many a client who their first thing is, well, what about all the details? We got to tell them about all the details. And it's really not necessary. What that employee is saying is, hey, I have an emotional attachment to my own business, and I know that the details ensure that that customer experience is buttoned up. And while that may be true, your customer is saying, hey, I'm expecting you to cross all T's and dot all your I's. Just get to the point of what's in it for me. In the case of IBM, they make very technical, sophisticated products and solutions, but they don't communicate all of those details. Here they're using 5 words to articulate the value of their business. They're taking people to an outcome, an effect that they can have, and they've taken it to a societal level. Whatever you do, you're just trying to make sure that you're helping people visualize the outcome, and details don't do that. Customers need to know what they can do with your offering in quick fashion. So you've got to make it easy to digest. So to that point, in terms of how do I make sure I'm making it easy to digest, we use something we call the grandma test. And that is your messaging succinct enough where the customer will get what you're saying before their mind shuts down? And this is what happens. You communicate a very lengthy, heavy value prop. And somewhere during that communication, whether it's verbal or through text, your customer or your prospect's mind says, enough, just stop. I don't want to read anymore. I don't want to listen to anymore. And so then mentally what they're saying is, I'll just make my own conclusion. And they create a shortcut. You don't want to allow the customer to create a shortcut on your value prop. You've got to make your case before the customer's mind begins processing what you have to say. Otherwise, you're letting that customer mess around with your value prop, and that is not good for your business. So the answer is to be bold by being clear and getting to the point. And if you're not sure, just use the grandma test. It really works like a charm. And if you're not clear on what we mean by this, here's an example, okay? Real copy taken from a real company. On the left-hand side, this is how they define themselves. There are over 60 words in this definition. What I will tell you is that most of their customers are not going to read all of that copy. And even if they do, very few are going to be able to like play that back for the people that they work with word for word. It's just too much to remember in the context of like everything that we as people have going on in our daily lives. Now, we've never worked with this company, and we removed the name to protect the innocent here. But we took what was put in front of us, and through an application of the grandma test, distilled it down to about 12 words. 12 easy words. None of these words will show up in a spelling bee. So what we're doing is we're removing any doubt that there could be someone in the room that affects the decision of a business to work with us from saying, I don't get it, I just don't understand. We're trying to get people to focus on the outcome and whether or not they want to go there, and then we can use the details as needed to help them understand the context around what it is our business has to offer, right? So, it's all about establishing clear expectations internally with your employees so that they're executing consistently and providing a simple articulation of the value that you can create for your customers externally. And once you've done that, now you have some wheels in motion, but you've got to be calibrating that work. And you're calibrating that work because the rubber meets the road where a customer dives in, says, sign me up, give me a little bit, I use your service, and I don't exactly feel, or wow, I really got what I expected from your business. And what that means is we have to listen. It's very, very important to listen. It's proven to be the number one rebuilder of trust. And so when we talk about listening, what we can't have is a department or an individual that's listening to customer feedback on a regular basis. So say we have a company of, say, the size of 50 employees, and there's an individual who, they monitor feedback. What are the other 49 doing? What's guiding their daily thoughts and actions? It's their gut. And anytime people are working off gut, what they're not doing is being focused on solutions that are going to be relevant and meaningful to customers. So if there are any barriers to allowing all of your employees to listen to how customers feel about your execution, you got to eliminate them. We find often that customer feedback is hidden in some organizations because it resides with an individual or a department within the organization. Sometimes we find that it's dated because the organization relies on an annual survey, but relies on word of mouth in between those annual surveys. And in some organizations, we actually find, and it's not just small organizations, we found some very large organizations during consulting engagements we've had where they're saying, we haven't done any research with our customers in a while. And we ask why, and they're like, well, it's kind of cost prohibitive. We have to find a way to eliminate these barriers because without listening to our customers, we're just throwing stuff on the wall and hoping that it sticks. The businesses that win do so by keeping their ear to the ground. They're listening to how customers feel. And so a couple of things that you can do at your business to make sure that you're listening. The first is to find a way to make customer feedback available throughout the year. There was a time where it was the, classic old school commission of a research project where it took you 2 to 3 weeks to design what questions you're going to ask, and you're fielding it and you're recruiting people and you're trying to get your sample size in and you get the results in and they're cleaning the data. Then you're working with your research company to talk about how you're formatting. It's too much in this day and age. Business moves too fast. We need to have more immediate type feedback results available. And there are some powerful resources out there on the web that can allow you to do just that. The trick is to find the one that's right for your business. To that end, the second thing that you need to do is focus on and monitor the trends. Resist the temptation to get caught up in individual perspectives. It's about the net sum reputation, the net word on the street, and the trends. What's making customers happy? How's that trending? What's making them disappointed, frustrated? What do those trends look like? And where within your customer base do those trends exist? Use feedback resources that keep a history, a log of the trends around your business, and they make it easy to identify themes within those trends. And then the final piece around keeping your ear to the ground is you're listening. You're not having a discussion and a debate with people when they give you feedback. You're just listening. There's a little bit of a fascination right now with some platforms that are allowing people to comment when someone provides unfavorable or negative feedback. And I, I just think that's very dangerous because when a customer is complaining, they're giving you a gift. What they're telling you is, look, I had a disappointing experience, um, but for some reason, I still believe in you. So I'm going to take time out of my schedule to tell you about my disappointment. Um, I just I don't want to have that experience again. The only thing that's going to convince me that you're listening is if and when I buy again, I have a better experience. There are no words that can prove that that's going to happen to that customer who had a disappointing experience. So every employee needs to understand that. So give the employees that access, and more of those disengaged employees may see the reason to have a stronger connection. They're spending a lot of time at work, and we want people to appreciate that which we do. And feedback could be a powerful lightning rod for that. Okay. When it comes to listening, we recommend that you keep it simple and stay consistent. And this recommendation comes from experience. We found that the 6 topics in front of you here, they span the customer experience. Businesses of varying sizes and industries, right? And again, if a customer isn't clear on what your business can do for them, it's going to be tough to get them to actually buy from you. But if they do, the degree to which you get things up and running and they feel like that was an enjoyable versus a painful experience will keep that relationship and the expectations for an enjoyable experience high. To that end, the customer has in their mind what their expectations are, and you either deliver them or you don't. You want to know that. To what degree are your people responsive, and do people feel good about the value they got, that which they paid? And if given the opportunity to make a recommendation, how hard are they going to work for your business? What we're recommending is start here, understand where risk and opportunities exist, and for each, deep dive when necessary and with the appropriate people so as not to waste everyone else's time. And when you do that, your customer will appreciate the respect of their time in so many ways. Okay? So to recap, what I like to say in this is it's like the old saying, ABC, always be closing, a little bit of a different twist, always be calibrating. Always be calibrating what you say to employees to keep them focused on the right things, to customers to make sure that their expectations can be delivered, and then listen to the feedback, the degree to which your employees are actually executing those promises. Right? So we've laid out here, making sure that there's clarity of the business goal, marketing that goal internally to keep it front load, top of mind, communicating with customers in simple terms and getting to the point, reserving those details for on an as needed basis. And then making sure that we're consistent in listening and not trying to use words to repair any negative feedback, but using words to establish expectations and acting to affirm them. And stay focused on the trends, both good and bad, and you'll be in good shape. Now, the actions that we've recommended around executing as promised, they're 100%, they have a lot to do with your employees. What we're basically saying is invest in your employees. The reason employees are disengaged is because they're just showing up to work and doing stuff. They have no purpose around those actions. But if you take the time to put these practices in the play where you're focused on clear messaging, you're listening to meaningful customer feedback, in time, more of your employees will be doing stuff that actually matters to customers. And that's the goal, and that's how you get to executing as promised on a more consistent basis. Final point, a lot of what we shared today originates through application in the business world over a number of years. And during our work as both corporate managers and as consultants, we've observed some gaps. And the biggest gap we see is that employees are unable to listen to their customers and use the customer's perspective to guide their thoughts and actions of relevant work. And so we built getSayDo as a way to make it easy to listen to customers and for employees across functions to use a common view to make more informed business decisions. Thank you for your time. I hope that we got to the point and gave you some actions that you can apply to your business. Would love to field any questions that the group has. And again, thank you.